my favorite object, and now I'm going to split the fifth season into two, because the fifth season split itself into two, so, So my favorite object, at least, is introduced in the first half, and carries through brilliantly in the second, is the, stevia packets, which, again, little universe in a granule of sand. Who's the most evil person in Breaking Bad? It's Lydia. Lydia is the devil incarnate. She's more evil than Walter. She's more evil than Jack. She's more evil than Todd. She's the devil incarnate. She's more evil than Gus. Gus, again, is the hero of at least the fourth season. Lydia. It's Lydia. Oh, Lydia. She's raw evil. She's, like Hannah Arendt wrote, the banality of evil. She's the bureaucrat. She's the, Wall Street, behind the scenes, the moneymaker, the pure, And it's funny because when she makes that deal with Walt near the end, she even echoes what Tuco says to him. She says, "We're going to make a lot of money together," which echoes a few times throughout the series, And that's why the show ultimately is not what it seems at first, and it is not an affirmation of white supremacy or manifest destiny, but it is, again, a strong condemnation against capitalism, against particularly multinational conglomerates, which Lydia represents as that magical representative. So even when she's talking, that scene when she's talking to Wall about like the Czech Republic and the numbers and then the number crunching, but it's like, again, the plausible deniability. The things that the show doesn't show is that Walter White has made, that's real Mephistopheles. And, at the same time, yes, he shakes hands with Jack. Jack's the, the violent part of it. But no, Lydia's, that's why. That's why Todd loves Lydia. I'm actually shocked. I'm glad the show showed some restraint, because I was expecting Todd was just gonna be some, fucking Of Mice and Men kind of shit going on based on where Todd was going. That kind of weird psychosexual obsession. But again, Todd's a very nuanced character, but I'm not going to talk about Todd. But yeah, Lydia. It's Lydia. She's the main villain, actually, of the entire series, because, again, the main villain of the entire series is capitalism. Broke Bad, Part 5, Part 1. Pick yourself up. Alright, now the fifth season is unequivocal, monumental, a magnum opus almost. And you have to almost be like a real super fan, and again, you have to like maybe understand the metatext very well to get it, because every frame is dripping with meaning. It becomes almost this like kaleidoscopic, just absolute metatext, just madness. It's brilliant. Again, what is the Lord of the Flies? Lord of the Flies is the devil. What little critter obsessed Walt in season 3? What showed up an episode Dead Freight right before, again, when the hat comes back, that's when the fly comes back, because that's when the devil really comes back. And Walt himself becomes the devil later on too. I'm gonna get into. But Dead Freight, before they do that train robbery, and if you're an astute viewer, you'll notice that there's like at some point the number 666 show up on the amount of methylamine they have to take. I don't even think methylamine's a real thing. I don't really check into that. I think it's like a MacGuffin. It's meant to be like the Ring, almost. It represents evil. That's why Mike doesn't want them to do it. Jesse doesn't want them to do it. That's why, like, Walt's pushing it to the limit. Again, because, like, he's been emasculated left and right, and he doesn't need to keep doing this anymore. He's made more money than he possibly could ever need to make, so he has to keep justifying it. But by doing that, he is becoming the devil himself. And Walter is just, he's outplayed everybody at this point, especially after outplaying Gus. He's just going off the chain. That's why the first episode, which it's called Blood Money. It's called Blood Money. What do you think? Krista Allegory, what do you think is going on? It's called Blood Money. And magnets. And I didn't like the episode at first because I'm like, fucking magnets. But no, that's like, rewatch that scene. It's super villain. It's supposed to be like this meta text where it's like, okay, ha ha ha. But then it's real dark too, man. Like Jesse, and he's trying to give the money away, and it's like almost kind of racist with like that black homeless dude who's like, and there's like all the dog metaphors going on, and like Jesse just loses his mind. Remember that? You might not remember it. Fifth season flies by with such intensity that it's hard to forget that first half, the first 8 episode arc, which is spectacular. I mean, both parts are, but those first few episodes are just amazing. Um, it's just this. He's like, remember, he's in the carousel and it's spinning again. It's echoing so much. It's echoing Mandela. It's echoing fucking Crawl Space. It's like the Kubrick stare. You know, it's amazing. And then Todd. Oh my God, Todd's so nuanced. Because that's what Todd is, the son that Walt. You get that? Do you get what's going on? How it's like, you know, Todd is actually not that Nazi, that blonde, you know, and he's like a mix. He's the bizarro mirror version of both Jesse and Walt Jr. That's why, and again, this is kind of a little offensive. That's why Todd's a little slow. Just like Walt Jr. is a little, you know, handicapped. But again, that makes Todd can't be the villain. Todd's not the villain. Yeah, he's fucking doesn't he can kill a couple kids, but you know, no, he's innocent. He's a child. You know, being led astray by Jack, just like Jesse's being led astray by Mr. White. And that's why Jack and Walt are mirror images. Walt doesn't do any drugs. He drinks a lot of wine sometimes, but usually he's straight, okay? I mean, but yet he has a cancer because he is a cancer. And just like Jack, who probably doesn't have it, or maybe he does, but it doesn't matter, he's constantly chain smoking cigarettes. That's the point. That's, you know, and if you remember the episode, and this is, people don't get it. Say my name. Again, that's like this. It's not cool. That's the episode where Walt is at his lowest, really. Not even Ozymandias. It is that episode where he is at his lowest. Because he's just pure denial. He is pure a psychotic break. He needs that validation. Say my name. But the name that is really said there is the devil. It is Beelzebub. That is the name that is evoked. So when you see, what does he do in that episode? Spoiler alert. He's most evil. But even before he does that, remember with Jesse? He's there with Jesse and he's trying, it's like fucking the last temptation of Christ, you know, Jesse wants to get out. That's why the episodes before are called Buyout, and it's like kind of like this like meta text on conglomerations, but it's also like, you know, buying out your soul, selling out your soul. And after the kid died, oh, Jesse saw it. Jesse knew, and he's like, why? Why did I keep going along with this? Because it was fun at first. Fucking magnets, bitches, you know. It was the gang. It was them with Mike. They were having a good time. But again, think about it. How they had to start doing it in people's homes. So the sickness, the disease of capitalism, of the grand metaphor, infiltrating the domestic. That's why, if you notice, the 5th season is very unique. You don't see, you know, there's a few exceptions, clearly, near the end, Tahijli and Ozymandias. But a lot of it is just a domestic drama. It's filmed in claustrophobic spaces. And if you notice, the color palette is depleted. It is drained. It is dark. What? It's like, again, like watching it all, like, it's thermodynamics entropy. That cancer. Again, Breaking Bad making this brave text of saying, no, it's not falling action, denouement. Fortinbras shows up and reforms the social order and repeats. No. It is inevitable oblivion. This show is very bleak. It is inevitable oblivion. So the color palette is drained. Everyone's drained of life. Except, like, you notice that both Walt and Skyler are wearing the most fucking Norman Rockwell, like, pastel, like, eggshell white. It's echoes Walt's first jacket, but it's clean. They're so clean. Because they're clean then. They're working the car wash. And it's like Hank and Marie are the ones who are in the shade because they've been corrupted. Okay, you've noticed that? It's like a weird, it's brilliant, like a parasitic relationship. Walt and Skyler are maybe at their most fucking, I mean, not diabolical, but, you know, they profited off of a diabolical system. That's what that giant amount of money represents. That's MacGuffin is fucking, that's the Hellmouth. That's why with fucking Huel and Cuddy lay on it and have those Scrooge McDuck moment, that's why they're damned. That's why they're damned. That's why Huel is stuck in that room forever. Kind of bleak when you think about it. You know, because Huel was kind of like childlike in a sense, but no. They were contaminated. They got that blood money. So yeah, to go back to it, Walt makes this deal. Remember when he says, like, well, I don't know if you believe in a hell, but there is, we're pretty much already going there, right? Which is false. As I'll get to later, the show kind of validates is that no one is beyond redemption, and Jesse realizes that. So even when the money itself is going to be, Jesse walks away. It's brilliant. But with Jesse, the anti-hero, walking away, Walt has no choice but to give in to Lydia and Jack. That two-punch combo. Again, just like with Trump. You need a Jared Kushner. You need a Lydia. But you also need your fucking, your Steve Bannons and your Proud Boys and your fucking shamans and your Toads and your actual Nazis. You know, your Richard Spencers. Richard Spencer actually is a combination of... Richard Spencer's like Todd, actually, now that I think about it. Yeah, you need a lot of Todds, really. That's what Trump has, is just mostly Todds. So again, Breaking Bad predicted a lot of what we're seeing now. Nazis show up at the end of the drug epidemic. And the plague comes and it's biblical. And that's just the first 8 episodes, and I'm not even talking about fucking, the real dark shit. So who's the hero, though? At least of the first half of the 5th season. This close to being the hero of the whole story, but he just can't because he kept compromising. That's Mike. Mike Ehrmantraut's the hero of the first half. Clearly. That's why Walt has to fucking blow him away. He's so good. He's just so good, and that's why it's one of the main reasons why I would want to kind of rewatch Better Call Saul, even if it takes away some of the mystique. Is just to see that, like Jonathan Banks, Mike Ehrmantraut is. I haven't even mentioned him yet. It's because he's fucking. I want to talk about him now for a couple minutes. And again, I think when he had showed up to be the cleaner after Jane died, it was one of those things. It was gonna be like with Robert Forster. It was gonna be just like, okay, a name people will recognize, but one and done. But he was just so good that they had to like draw him in. And at first, he's just kind of this ambiguous muscle, man. But then remember like in the end of the 3rd season where he's like, he has that like, it's like fucking, it becomes like blaxploitation, like kung fu film, and he's like, holy fucking shit. But then Mike becomes like a great dude to Jesse. He becomes like, more than Gus, more than Walt. Mike, good old blue collar Mike. That's Jesse's dad. That's the dad that Jesse deserves. They would have went and played ball. Like look at how, in the backstory that was later revealed of Mike and his son in Better Call Saul. That's like Jesse was the son that he wanted to fill that hole in. He helped Jesse get sober. Jesse was getting sober from Mike. And they had that fucking back-to-back, the fucking shootout. Him, the driver down in Saloon in Mexico. They were like this thick as thieves. They were together. That's the only reason why I think Jesse kept sticking in with him. So when Mike was at the game, Jesse was at the game. But when even though Walt had already gotten like this beautiful like watch from Jesse, and like Jesse and him were still kind of tight. No. Walt wanted more than that. Walt wanted everything or nothing, So when he sees Mike and Jesse shake hands, that's when he's like, I have to kill Mike, the hero. And you remember in Say My Name, the scene where it's like, oh, you're goddamn right. No, God is damning you, right? Because that's when the name of the devil is invoked, and Walt becomes the devil himself. And he shoots Mike the fucking shepherd. And again, the devil, words, which is why Walt is still just trying to talk over it, and it's this, again, a rare one of the few times you see a scene like this, where there's green, there's lush green, and there's this reflection, and it's beautiful, it's the sun set, like the episode in season 3. Shut the fuck up, Walter, and let me die in peace. And they aired the F word. That's they're allowed 1 fuck per season, and that was the fuck that they gave. It's beautiful. Mike gets to die. Mike has the most beautiful soon, Walt gets one later. But yeah, it's beautiful. But again, it's not the real hero. I'm going to talk about the real hero in the next part, I swear to you.